Hello, I'm AppyX Toycat, and welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on, both in the survival Minecraft world, as well as life, the universe, and everything in between. And today, we're in the extra cold part of my Minecraft Nether. Yes, this really is the Nether, as you can maybe see in the background, and this is because I froze this entire area over with snow, with ice, and with packed ice, and the reason I'm here is to pick up some ice that I left behind, because I need to take this over to make my new ice highway in the Nether. After this update, there is more reason than ever, especially if you have an old Nether, to make an ice pathway, and I figured, given that I have some small tips from building this entire thing, which is surprisingly enough gas-proof, I could guide you on how you can make one of those pathways without it being blown up by gas, because sadly, that has been happening a lot since last time, and I figured I could help you avoid it for the next time. But first, let's go to where my pathway actually is going to be, because like many others, I decided I need a fast way to get to the new Nether biomes from my old Nether, which has been generated since like 2017 or something like that, and as a result, the fastest way to transport in Minecraft is of course the packed ice or blue ice highways. It's super fast, it's super efficient, but as you can see, it's also very exposed. So the simplest thing, the easiest way is just to surround it by, you know, netherrack or whatever easy material you can get your hands on, but that's kind of sad and boring. It's much more fun, as you can see, going across this biome right here. It's much more fun to have these outside sections, which sometimes have tunnels, sure, but it's always good to know where roughly you are, so you can see if you want to get out right here. I think, again, a journey like this is much more easy and fun when you can see precisely where you are on the Nether, and therefore you need a way to be able to get out without having to have gas sometimes destroy sections, as indeed happened right here, and will keep on happening unless I block it off, and that's why my clever idea is to either use glass, or indeed to kind of fit the theme of this ice highway, is to use some ice blocks to prevent precisely that. All we have to do is make a nice little wall like this around us, and we'll be able to see through the ice blocks, as you can see, near perfectly, well enough to at least see what's going on there. As you can see, there's some glowstone, there's a magma cube, etc. We'll be able to see through this ice, but at the same time as being able to see through it, mobs will not be able to attack us through that. It's very, very strange because a ghast should theoretically be able to see you, but no Minecraft mob can see through even transparent blocks. Even when you use glass, even when you use ice, very, very visible blocks, even when you can directly see a mob, that mob can never see you because a mob's pathway to you is always obstructed by blocks, no matter how transparent they are. As weird as that is, it's something that's worth mentioning, and I'm thinking of my pathway design being something like this, just a kind of flat open box, but as I look at it right here, you can kind of see that, like, well, that's not so fun and exciting. That's just literally making a box for your Nether. So instead, I think an octagonal design that looks much more like this would be a better decision. This is because again, it kind of provides this almost circular kind of feel. When you're on a certain size, everything looks like a circle because Minecraft can only go so far. And also, this means because we're going to be capping at the top here, we might not even need this bottom block. This can kind of be optional. It means we can protect ourselves using fewer blocks while still kind of acting like it's being stylish. It looks more like we're using a cover rather than a tunnel, which again is the feel we're going for. We want this to be a kind of monument going through the Nether to take us from here to our new Nether, which actually, if you want to see that, by the way, because we haven't really shown that one off yet, is all the way over there. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing in today's video. I'm gonna be showing you my little pathway, which is apparently very dangerous to my well-being, but I'm gonna be showing you my highway, which does in fact go all the way from here straight to a crimson forest and indeed to a soul sand valley, and from there actually, you know, just as a little side note here, from there it actually goes all the way to my bastion, which I'm currently destroying. So if you haven't seen that, there's another little fun project we're working on right now. Here is my current status and the progression of that. It's taking a long time, a lot of streams, but we'll dive back into that another time. For now, let's dive into the important things, and that is a ice pathway through the Nether. And we're going to be doing this episode a little bit different to most Let's Play ones. So, normally in the Let's Play, we have this weird mix between, like, we're building stuff, obviously, because it's Minecraft, and also the kind of, like, you know, commentary, podcasty thing over the top that you can listen to or what you can watch while you're playing some Minecrafty stuff, apparently, is what people do. And I find that very, very interesting. And last week we kind of went all in on the Minecraft build stuff, which is why this week I figured we'd go much more in the opposite direction. We're going to be building this highway with a few more cuts between the sections to show more progress more quickly, so you can kind of see a build going on, versus the opposite style. And today, because last week we went all the way in on that style, instead this week we'll be kind of making it one-to-one block, because one of the interesting things you don't see so much in Minecraft YouTube videos is the kind of long haul progression. A lot of people are like, yeah, we'll just cut that stage out. And I get why that's valuable for if you're trying to make like a movie style thing, like you're trying to have every minute of engagement count, but also it's not the most useful thing if you want to see what it's like almost every single moment of a world. I really like my survival world. I like what we do here because you get to see a lot more than you otherwise do in other parts of the YouTube world. And I think, again, if people are more honest about how things actually are in an average time, you have a much better feel as to how things are you have a much better feel as to what Minecraft should really be like. I think selectively showing things to make videos is a better way to be inspiring and motivating perhaps in some ways, but I also think it kind of encourages the culture in the world of like things being at their perfect. Things are not always at their perfect for everyone. There is a lot of non-perfect moments between the perfect ones. Life can only be good. The perfect wonderful things can only happen when you have negative things to compare them to. A lot of people think that like, oh wow, things are going bad right now, and therefore they can only really get worse. But the reality is, anyone who's having a perfect seeming life on any form of social media, if their whole life has been perfect to that point, it doesn't really feel perfect to them. They're just playing it up for the media. And if you've gone through something disastrous, when things get better, it feels so much better than if it doesn't, in my opinion. So, in that same way, I like to apply that to Minecraft, at least a little bit here. And so I think it's fine to have like these distilled moments of human excellence. Like everyone likes looking at a happy couple on their wedding day and being like, wow, that sure is goals, am I right? Or whatever else it may be. But without acknowledging that to get there, there is a lot of steps in between that are not perfect, you start to lose the sense of what being human really is. In life, things tend to be awful first before they're perfect. Also, I'm pretty sure that fire will melt my ice, but we'll find that one out, I guess. But like, the way things work in life is things are wrong first, and then they are corrected by humans on an individual scale, on a collective scale. This is how things tend to be. That you might like to imagine that like things can pop out perfectly formed, and that's again sometimes the illusion sold to you by the world, by the media, by actually, is social media part of like the broad characterization of the media? I'm not too sure, but an important lesson that maybe we'll learn today is that things take some progress, and especially in Minecraft, you learn the value of things moving forwards in a much better way. So next up, we're going to start destroying the walls of this one. I want it to be 4 blocks wide everywhere, or at least, yeah, like just so we can have a nicer space to go through. I think tunnels are nicer when they're less claustrophobic, and we pick up a lot of netherrack in that time, but I think it's worthwhile. But yeah, something I've always liked about Minecraft is how it perfectly distills this very basic lesson that we all kind of know and we can pick up from many other video games, but is taught very perfectly in Minecraft, that everything, that you can achieve in this game, usually the most impressive things take some time. There are some things that are delightful that take no time at all. I mean, a strider. Oh god, I mean, a strider is so cute, right? Who doesn't find them to be super adorable? You can look at them and you can find that cute from day one, but there are some mega projects that you can look at and be like, wow, that's impressive. And if you start working at it thinking like, oh yeah, I'll want to make one and then I'll get there, you can get really demotivated and kind of just give up on your Minecraft projects like, oh, it didn't happen in the first hour, now I'm bored, I have a different idea. Remaining, motivated and committed to things is something that is harder to display in media. It's harder to display in videos. This video, which is just me grinding on a little section of this, ice pathway that allows me to connect my nether better, is going to be just part of making a grand project that will be really great when it's done, that will really improve my nether experience. But it's, again, there's 2 types of what I would like to call like motivation. People always think about motivation as being this big burst of energy that you need, but the much bigger part of actually getting things done is the discipline that comes in making something happen day in and day out. Also, as you can see, the ice did in fact melt. But there's the much bigger thing that comes in actually like working on something, that actually comes in making something better. Let's just place ice back there and let's see if it melts again. I mean, it almost certainly will, but why don't we try? And I think again, I think the one big lesson that this is true in stories and stuff too. We only ever hear tales of like heroism in the moment, because hearing tales about the moment are always so much more motivating than hearing like, oh yeah, this guy, like if you hear about David and Goliath and like the super brave man who like stood up to someone much stronger than them, that's like, wow, that was so brave and courageous. Whereas what would be more effective as a strategy than like hoping your slingshot works, the more effective strategy would be like, okay, I'm gonna train and be just as strong as him one day. I'm gonna work out his weaknesses, etc. Don't just go in there with a rough plan to try and fix it. Or maybe I'm being crazy. Maybe this is one of the things that really divides society in two. Because I thought for a while now, there is like, people like to imagine that there are like some external factors that can, like group people up into two groups. Like, oh yeah, there's the people that believe in my correct way, and then there's the people that believe the wrong way, or the evil way in some cases. But I think the actual bigger divider in humans is how we perceive growth and change. Is it something that can happen to anyone, or is it something that is just going to naturally happen the way that it happens? And it's hard to be certain. Also, it looks like when I made these, I built them at a different height than this, so that's going to be a problem to fix. Also, this is a reason why you need to have like protections on your stuff. Mobs spawn far too much, especially on Bedrock right now, and you don't want to deal with it. So just in case you are curious about why the Let's Plays on this channel are done in the style that they are, which I'm pretty sure is different to most channels on YouTube, right? It's for that reason right there. And also, let's be honest, like, it's fun to just talk, hang out, play some Minecraft, go over the stuff that needs to be spoken about, whatever. And when you're taking like 20, 30, 40, sometimes hour-long gaps in between every little sentence and phrase and doing stuff, you can show more Minecraft progress, but you kind of lose that authentic, what it's like to just hang out and play some video games. Something that is surprisingly fun, and something I've always enjoyed doing, like, as long as I can remember, like, having a friend in the room and, talking while we play a game together. It's a surprisingly fun thing, like, or sometimes, like, trading turns, although that doesn't really work so well in the Minecraft sense, but it's something I've always enjoyed, and I like that, like, a digital version of that is something I'm graced to be able to do here on the internet. But yeah, one of the now that we have kind of addressed that one, why we're doing what we're doing today, I hope you all enjoy. I'm very curious to see, like, again, can literally measure the statistics on last week's Let's Play versus this one. They'll be super similar, except also entirely different. And I have the metrics on, like, how these things go. One of the scary things about, like, the world right now is that social media has so much of your data tracked. It's just, like, kind of, oh yeah, of course that's how it is. There's this huge debate with the TikTok stuff going around, right? But the reality is like, American social media has been tracking and keeping you accountable to American security stuff forever, and that might be fine if you live in the US. I mean, it probably shouldn't be, but fine. But like, as someone living outside of, as someone who lives outside of both China and the US, it's like, oh no, there's a government that's going to take my data. Definitely hasn't been happening for the last however long. But one of the cool things of all that data is you can start to process a lot of things, and in the case of YouTube, that data is surprisingly handy because it allows you to work out precisely which point in a video people leave at. Sometimes you can use this to work out like a point in the video that offends people, or like where it slows down too much and people just decide, I'm gonna stop watching this. Because one of the, again, it's like weird to think about this, but when you're a YouTuber, you make videos that are 10 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour long. Again, I really need to shorten the Let's Plays, don't worry, I know. But like when you make these when you make these videos these long, you're imagining people watching it to the end, but for a fact, there are very few YouTube channels, I can't imagine any exist actually, where everyone watches all the way to the end every single time. It's kind of weird because if you made a documentary for TV or you made a TV show, it's hard to imagine making something that people leave halfway through, but as a YouTuber, you have to be kind of ready for that and also kind of trying to avoid that, I guess. It's a very weird sensation to be in, and yeah, we can use that data to work some things out. Because, the data, for instance, says forever and has been saying forever. The reason I want to make the Let's Play shorter, it's not because it's not, like, as fun that way. I don't mind spending, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, chilling, chatting or whatever. But there is literally like an effect where not only do the, it's not just diminishing returns in terms of if I make a 2-hour video versus 2 1-hour videos, obviously one's a better idea. But also if I make 1 2-hour video, it's worse than making 1 1-hour video. It's not just diminishing returns, it's like the opposite. It's diminishing anti-returns, I guess you could call it. Because again, like, who wants to click on a 2-hour long video? Who even wants to click on an hour-long video or a 45-minute one? You lose discoverability in exchange for pleasing a certain segment of your audience, and that is, on YouTube, like a real business risk you're taking, which is why we do things the way we do here. And it's all interesting thing. If you like the Let's Plays this length, thank you for choosing to support them by watching them all the way through, or some other means to make up for lack of views. I really do find that crazy that people I love this series, and it's a good one to have as like a tentpole thing. And thank you for choosing to support it in whatever way, even if that's just choosing like, actually, you know what, I've been watching this a while, I'll just subscribe, or if that's more substantial, that's down to you. And you know what's down to me? My reaction to that and how this Let's Play goes. So, yeah, do you like this ice tunnel so far, by the way? It feels a little bit janky coming out of such a big tunnel like that, going into this. Like, it works much better where I was further down. At this length in, it does feel very weird, though, so, I might rejigger it a bit. I might just, like, make it merge into the tunnel better, or, like, merge over the tunnel instead of going into it. Like, if we go over here and we place a few blocks up into there, I think that might be a good idea. Like, you know, just over there, and, like, kind of, again, make it a little bit, mergy is the word I'm going for here. Very much a real word. And that way it looks like it's kind of, like, fitting in a lot better, because you're not fitting in a very good piece of life advice. Will help you out immensely if you start doing that. Anyway, so speaking of not fitting into things, something like again, if we spoke about like modern events on this channel, I feel like it's something that's only going to go so well. It's really easy to talk about the news, and the news is like a fascinating thing that's on us. But the thing that I actually do want to talk about that's been in that is you know, this week something controversy, something big writer, because one of the like stories I found out about forever ago that like always upset me is the person who wrote 50 Shades of Grey, which, like, whatever you think about the books themselves, right? The books only made 95 million, like, across their entire lifespan, despite selling literally 9 digits worth of copies. So, like, it works out as something done like less than $1 a book or something like that, despite the fact that they sell for, you know, like literally an order of magnitude more. And when I first found that out, I just thought to myself, like, man, I wonder what went wrong in that process. Like, you know, like, it's easy to immediately look at it and blame it and be like, wow, you know, like, someone screwed her because this or that. It's also easy to look at that and go the other way and be like, wait, only 95 million. Oh, Toy Cat, you're right. She's gonna be doing really badly with that 95 million. Like, does she need to run a GoFundMe to get her over the 100 million? But I think this, like, kind of like a missing the point in that sometimes of, like, when people go out and do the things, I think those are the things, like, personally, I've always felt like we should support the most. One of the interesting things that we see in the literally every single week, right, is someone who is quote unquote cancelled for something. Like, oh yeah, people didn't like a thing, and so they decided to go out and to stop funding that person, and to, like, try and honestly, like, harass people around the person to stop associating with them. Like, imagine you did something that one of your friends' friends didn't like, and they told your friend to stop being friends with you over that whole ordeal. That was a bad, you know what, let's put this better. Let's say you have a friend A, and your friend has a friend, you know, like, they have a friend that you don't have, friend B, and you have a falling out with friend B, and friend B is like, you know, I don't like you anymore, Mr. You are Toy Cat in this case, but I don't think friend A should be friends with you anymore either. Except imagine it's not just one friend, it's also all of your friends. And imagine it's not just, you know, like, all of your friends, it's also your livelihood they come after, which is, again, it's something I've always found so interesting, because it's like the most anti-worker thing you can do in the world. Like, if you care, if you think that people who work for other people deserve, you know, rights and deserve, you know, like, to have more stuff paid to them, I think the worst thing you can do is be like, oh yeah, we're gonna try and prove how disposable employees are by trying to get every company to fire every employee that someone has an issue with. Like, the reality is that as a, you know, as someone who works for any company, you're, you know, like, again, you're some amount of disposable to them. If you do something, they'll get hot. Like, if they can perform, like, at any time you're employed, it's because your employer's done a value calculation and worked out, oh yeah, we can, it costs our business less than we can make in this transaction. That's, like, the thing going on right there. And by having this public pressure, you're using that system to be like, yeah, we're gonna fire people from it. But all you do when you tell a company to fire someone for that is you enforce the system where, oh yeah, you are just arbitrarily hired or fired based on, you know, like, how easy something is. You should, like, stand, you know, even if, like, someone voices an opinion you really strongly disagree with, you shouldn't want them to be fired from a job that they use to support their livelihood because of that fact, right? You should be like, well, I would like them to change their mind, and I will not be associating with them. I won't help support them in any way. whatever. But the idea that like, oh yeah, but I also want them to like, be out of a job. I think that they should lose that because, like when you think about someone losing a job, it's like, oh yeah, they lost the job. That's the thing that we've kind of taken away from them. But in the process, you make every single like employee of any single corporation in the world 1,000% more replaceable. Instead, you should be fighting for like, oh yeah, no one gets fired just because of their opinions outside of their work, right? I know that's always been my personal take on this. It happens like this is one of those things. Like I said I wasn't talking about the news too much. The worst bit is this isn't news anymore. It's just, oh yeah, who has it happened to this week? It's kind of like how car crashes. They don't make the news even though they happen every single day, every single hour actually. There's several every single hour, and people lose their lives and they're tragic, and it's a whole thing. In fact, there's a non-fatal one every minute. There are car crashes so often that we don't even really think about it unless it's maybe someone like especially notable. When your parents get in a car wreck, you probably care. But if like, oh yeah, someone got in a car wreck today, not a big piece of news. When there's a tsunami that kills 100,000 people and that was unexpected, that's big news. But if 100,000 people die slowly to heart disease over the course of 3 years, it's like, whatever. We see this with like COVID on some level. But it's interesting that now we've gone to the stage where, ooh, have I started using packed ice without realizing it? Ooh, I did. For quite a while too, I think. Oopsie. Wait, no I didn't. Am I crazy? Oh no, this is ice. I don't know why it started looking like packed ice. Like, look, from underneath here, it looks like packed ice. Maybe it's just that the texture on the side, on the bottom of the ice isn't one I look at very often. Anyway, here you can see, there's a ghast. Here's me. The ghast can't see me, and if you want to go really safe on this, you can make the bottom. But the reality is, all you really need to do is you need to protect until about where you are. It's very unlikely you'll be attacked from down there. And that's how you can save a bunch of ice or glass or whatever else you want to use. All we're using is a solid 3, 6, 8 blocks for every block of this we go. And now we've got 100% safety. And also we should have, if you look around here, a kind of cool mega tunnel going through the world that I think looks kind of nice. We could also spruce it up if we wanted to. But again, for now, we've got a nice thing going on. Anyway, it's kind of crazy, right, to see this happening to someone new every single week, to the point where, like, people start to get numb to it in a way that I think is kind of bad. It's bad in that if there truly are some evil people in the system, people are numb to, like, oh yeah, someone else did another thing. What did they do? Oh, they said something how many years ago? So that people don't even, like, listen to these things if it's someone they care about. Like, oh, yeah, a YouTuber I watched, had a controversy. Yeah. Oh yeah, that hasn't happened to anyone before ever. Like again, when you start to do something too much, the significance of each individual event loses a lot of its power, and that's bad when you're talking about things like dealing with people that if you think they're really bad and they need to have something bad happen to them, you can't do something every week, Like if the biggest news story ever happens every single week, you start to realize that, oh, this is a marketing ploy, and indeed that's something a lot of people do and have realized about how that works. Like the idea of the worst thing a person has ever done can only really be true once every few generations, and I think it's kind of like, when people compare someone to like literally the big man from Germany in 1945 himself, when people are like, oh yeah, it's basically as bad as that, or basically as bad as the part of people underneath him. It's like, no. When you're making a comparison, you're doing two things. You're not only, making a clever thing trying to say someone's bad, but when you liken two things together, you're not only saying one thing is like the other, you're saying the other thing is like the thing that you're saying. If I say that wither skeletons are basically as bad as, brain cancer, I'm not just saying that, like wither skeletons are, I'm not just trying to say that I really dislike wither skeletons as much as I dislike brain cancer, which admittedly isn't very much. I probably should look into it and find out how horrifying brain cancer is. But I'm also then saying, you know what? If you get brain cancer, it's not so bad because at least it's not a wither skeleton. Why don't we care about brain cancer? That's a point I should dive into now. I would love to, but instead I've got a nice ice highway, ice tunnel I'm making right here. So instead, how about we dive? I think it might be faster to do like a bunch of individual rows. Even though it's less satisfying, it's definitely going to be faster, so we're going to switch out for that. But yeah, something the kind of shift that I've seen to where people are like, you know what, let's try and make people super disposable is like, no, people shouldn't be disposable. You gotta like save the ammunition in your belt. You gotta realize something about picking your battles, right? Like you gotta find the true worst things to go for, because if when you set the precedent that like people are disposable and you can fire them just because you disagree with something, they personally say, it's like, you know, that can happen to you. One of the interesting things about humans is we're all very different to each other. We like to believe that we're all the same in certain ways. And, you know, there are very basic physiological ways in which we are all basically the same, man. I'm gonna go refill on my ice, by the way. But yeah, there are a few ways that we're all basically the same, but we're also wildly different, and our upbringings will be wildly different, and that means that we all have different ideas. They might coalesce around a few basic points. Again, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't think that all humans should be equal, at least on or like, you know, at least in the eyes of whichever, you know, like in at least certain eyes or certain you know, aspects. Most people have that somewhere in them, but when you start to be like, oh yeah, and most people believe that if you say you know, the wrong word, that you're basically as bad as someone who killed you know, tens of millions of people, right? Like, yeah, those two things line up perfectly. No, that's a pretty niche opinion that you'd be saying right there. But yeah, like when like people have an incredible thought diversity, the number of different thoughts we have, and the number of bad thoughts that we have as a result of that, because you can't just have different thoughts without having like worse, wackier, zanier ones. By the way, I'm starting to really stack up on my netherrack. Like, I have far too much of that going on. I've been considering for a while now, like smelting it up, getting some experience from that maybe. That'd be kind of nice. I think we're gonna do that. But yeah, let's first of all, before we can do any of that, let's grab some more ice. I'm looking forward to this because I'm finally gonna get to use my shulker box filled with ice that I've been saving for a while, as well as a bunch more, of course. I have a real shulker box shortage because of the piglin bastion destruction. Looking forward to fixing that, I think, really. But yeah, I think the kind of most interesting movement I see that I think I disagree with. Like, this is my strongly held opinion that the world doesn't generally, like, again, if you want to make the world better, it seems like it happens in big, giant leaps, because that's when it becomes acknowledged. But I think in terms of actually making the world a better place, I think in terms of making yourself a better person or doing a thing that you want to achieve, it's much better. You know, things happen in small steps. They happen, again, things are wrong and then they become right. This is, you know, this is true throughout all of history. The sorts of things that we believed even 200 years ago that we've kind of improved on, that's cool, right? That's the progress forwards. But also within your own life, you make progress. But like, we made it over 200 years. We couldn't have gone straight from that system to right here. Or maybe we could have, and we're all just taking things too slow. But, you know, taking things one step at a time is how we've always worked as humans with pretty much any task ever. And, you know, like, I don't know, being a YouTuber is now seen as one of the most desirable jobs amongst young kids, right? Like, it used to be celebrity or footballer or something in the UK. Now the single most sought-after profession is, surprisingly enough to me, YouTuber. So, you know, like, if you want to be a YouTuber, what's the deal? I've had a few people ask me that exact question, and although I'd love to give great advice, the real story is like, oh yeah, there isn't just a day where you weren't a YouTuber yesterday, now you want today. There, you know, like, if you're talking about, like, being, having an audience or being successful or whatever, there's, like, a lot of individual days, a lot of individual steps in between. How did I become a YouTuber? Like, oh yeah, it's a million tiny steps. Like, I made a video every day for the last 8 years, and even before that, I was making videos every week since, like, 2009. But, like, you know, like, when you look at all those tiny individual steps, it's hard to work out which one, we're gonna get, oh, I hate that so much. See, that's what we're trying to avoid right here. That is precisely the thing that we're trying to stop. And now that fire will literally melt some ice too. It gets worse. It just gets worse. There's my real life pro tip. It just gets worse. Give up while you can. No, more seriously, everything happens in a lot of tiny steps. Seeing some lofty, far-off goals is really hard to work with and can be stressful as like, oh, that'll never happen. But when you start to split it up into much more bite-sized, achievable things, suddenly everything is doable. Suddenly everything is kind of possible. And I think a lot of people will spread the wrong message about like, oh yeah, no, there are some things that you just can't do. There are some things that never will be possible. You know, it seems like a million tiny steps. No, what that really means is that there's no way whatsoever, and the only way to get whatever you want is to take it from someone who, you know, has got there. Like, you want to be a YouTuber? Guess you gotta kill someone who has a YouTube channel, and you've gotta, you know, like, take it over and then make it yours. You know, a lot of people generally think the only way to be successful on YouTube is a shout-out from a existing YouTuber, but think about how many, like, large YouTubers have you only found out about because they had a shout-out from a a larger channel, you know? In fact, for a lot of channels, it's like the death curse, like that. Having your first batch of subscribers come from someone else's audience means that they're always going to be looking for something that's not you. Like, you don't want to be a lot of people's 50 favorite things, like, that they only follow out of loyalty to someone else. You want people who are looking for you and your brand and want to see you evolve and improve, etc. And yeah, the idea that, like, oh yeah, the only way to get something you want is to go find someone who's get it and to try and get it that way. It's a scary idea that I think it's only a scary idea because it removes your human free will. And I think the ability to choose what you want to do, the ability to be who you want to be, etc., is like the most important thing there is out there. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the crazy, weird, and wacky one. Anyway, let's grab some more ice out here. I don't know if it makes sense to keep the tunnel going even when it's clearly indoors already. So I think I'll stop right there. And instead, we'll keep mining this forward, shall we? My nice non-efficiency netherite pickaxe. It's so weird to me, like, when you're so used to an efficiency diamond pickaxe, it genuinely feels like a netherite pickaxe is slower, just because it doesn't have that efficiency on it. Do you feel that? Is that just me? Is this what's happening with me here? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the bookseller who sold loads of copies, barely made any money, is only worth 95 million. She might say, like, only 95 million is still a lot, and I agree, like 95 million, whatever. But the reason that, like, I'm upset about that is because the reason that, you know, she probably made less money than probably could have been made is because early in there she took like a bad deal, and it wasn't a bad deal with no upside. It's probably like, oh yeah, in the book world there's something called an advance, where in exchange for the first, like, let's call it 100,000 sales, you'll make less money, but you'll get it up front, you know, like, oh yeah, we, in exchange for the first, you know, like, we'll take the first $1 million in sales, but we'll give you $20,000 up front. And it's like, well, I'm not sure if I'll sell 1 million copies, but that's a great thing we'll do there. I'm greatly oversimplifying the advance. It's never usually that cut and dry. Usually it sounds like a much better deal, so more people take it. But, you know, like, advance money sounds like a really good thing, but can lead you into a bad contract that isn't going to be such a great thing for you. And also, I think the tunnel lines up here and here, so we're going to destroy those 2 blocks now. Because I want the tunnels to kind of follow the format with, like, the higher roof above it. I think that's a good idea. But yeah, like, so I tried to think, like, who like did, you know, like, again, I don't think she really feels bad about it. I think if you have 95 million, you probably don't stress these things too much. But I stress on her behalf. Like, what I like is I like to see people getting what they can for what they, you know, did. If you did a thing, I'd like to see you getting the most that you can for that thing. You know, that's why you know, like, the whole work or anti-worky thing. Like, I don't like the idea that you can you know, like, work your way through your entire life, then have one wrong opinion and lose the whole thing. But I also think, like, oh yeah, just because you sign a bad contract, or, like, I understand how it happens and why you are obliged to follow up on that bad contract you signed, but I really don't like how, like, oh yeah, people do that. Because in the YouTube space, happens to people all the time. I was so close to signing up, like, years ago now, signing up my channel to a lifetime contract with this awful sub network that, like, you know, they just convinced me, like, yeah, you just got to sign here. You sign away with us for lifetime. That's a standard thing. Every contract has it. And I was like, wait, a lifetime? And then they're like, okay, you know, we can do 7 years or something. I don't actually remember how long it was. It was like maybe 9 years. That contract, which I almost signed in 2011, would only just be expiring right now. And if I'd have signed it, in exchange for pretty much nothing, by the way, just the ability to make YouTube videos and get paid for them, which at the time was admittedly very hard, but something that you can now do for free, I would have given up 40% of my channel revenue. I don't know how many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars that might work out into, because it also would have included, like, you know, your super chats and channel memberships and stuff. Like, it would have been insane if you really dove into it. And I almost signed that deal just because I want to, you know, like, I was desperate. I was like, yeah, I really want to do this thing. I was really passionate. I decided not to, but I've seen a lot of people who did sign basically their lives away into something like that. And it's like, man, the number of people who lost, you know, again, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to machinima doing that scum to them, signing literally illegal contracts. You can't sign someone away for perpetuity, but, you know, like, in perpetuity means forever, like, until it is decided by them that they don't want you. Because it wasn't even lifetime in the good sense where like, oh yeah, it's like tenure where you're able to do this forever. No, it was until they wanted to fire you, they could make as much money from your channel as they wanted to. It was insane, the the terms that they were signing people up to back in the day. And again, I don't think it's interesting because a lot of people can look at that and be like, man, corporations be evil, right? Is that the message you're raising right here? Like, they're always going to try and take things from people. But I actually don't think that. I think corporations are generally made up of people. Like, they become legally speaking, a corporation is a separate legal entity to the people that it's made up of. But I also think that, even though that is true, there is like a human direction that pushes the thing forward, and it's a lot of humans all doing their own separate tasks. Like, I think there was one person who genuinely just made a very good offer to this person, who just took it, and then they got a nice little bonus maybe, because even them, this person who screwed them out of tens of millions of dollars in the end on this very successful book series that if you don't know about, now's not a good time to search up 50 Shades of Grey. It's not even written very well. I'll tell you that much from my brief read through. But if you when you the person who did that, like, they're not some evil person who are like, yes, those hundreds of $1 million are mine. They probably got like maybe a nice bonus for signing someone so big. Even then, we don't know for sure. Like, they might have just been getting their normal job pay, like in the probably tens of thousands in a year. So like, they didn't make the hundreds of millions. The hundreds of millions just went to the vague company account who are like, yeah, we're doing really well. They didn't, the company and anyone running the company themselves probably didn't know they were screwing someone for it, and they didn't think they were screwing someone for it. And maybe, again, in reality, if the person who wrote the books doesn't feel that way either, then everyone's a winner, and I'm not so upset. But the fact is that big company structures, just everyone doing their own little tasks without someone working out if it's all happening ethically. Or again, like, if we ignore ethicalness, like, you see so many businesses go out because everyone just assumes like, yeah, you just do what you want and the company pays you. It's like, no, company's got to make money, as it turns out. What a wacky, weird concept for a world that we live in. But yeah, a corporation's really interesting. A company's really interesting because it's just lots of people doing their own individual things, and if those people are all very good at the things they do, it leads to a positive outcome. Come on, man. Like, how is this even a thing? Okay, well, at least the good news is that it can't attack me. But like, how and why did it choose to spawn there? Like, that's just the problem, right? There's no like good argument about why it needs to be there. It's just there was a mess up, and now we live with that mess up, I guess. And yeah, that's kind of how companies are too. There was a mess up, we live with the mess up. But if no one really knows about it, it kind of vanishes into history. There's a lot of like individual actions where like you need everything that exists. Like, there's this kind of burden of everything that people built a long time ago, be it houses, be it company structures, be it very important museums or whatever. Things that existed, generally, like, they can continue to exist because we're very careful about destroying things in this world for whatever reason. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. But we're careful to destroy things from our past without thinking about it. So if no one's thinking about removing or destroying something, and if no one's thinking about the changing of something, things just tend to exist and get stuck there with no one being passionate or caring about them. When, there are lots of things that need people to be passionate or caring. Like, for YouTube to exist as a platform, there need to be people who are willing to make videos. There needs to be people willing to keep up the servers, think about new features. It would exist for a very long time if all the engineers at Google died, but like the servers kept running. YouTube would exist for a very long time. But also, I think this must be wrong, right? Oh no, it's not wrong. But even though it would exist for a long time, it would just like be this weird thing that existed at a certain point. Lots of things would be happening despite no human being involved. And that sounds like a lot of, I'm realizing now, like, that might all sound like craziness. Like, Toycat, you took the drugs again, didn't you? You need to get off those pills or whatever, someone says in response to whatever video. But, how about instead, we talk about this in, like, superhero terms. I think the best villain for a superhero movie that hasn't ever been used is the idea of, like, a supervillain that isn't a person, it's a corporation. Like, again, rather than trying to personify it down to this person is the big bad who makes all the big bad things happen, instead it's a corporation run by lots of very good people, lots of, like, outstanding people with wives and families, and, they donate to good causes in their spare time. But because they're not thinking about what their individual actions are doing, you know, kind of like to go more extreme. Let's take it back to 1930s Germany. There were accountants at you know, those places that kill the people that just like were existing in the machine, and that wasn't a company. Admittedly, that was like a government that actively wanted a subsect of its people dead. But you know, the same kind of thing can happen easily. I feel like just people being unaware of the broader consequences of their actions. And you know, who can blame them? Like, there's so many. Every action has so many consequences that how can you think about all those actions' consequences and actually be doing so in a way that's effective? But that's why you should at least try every now and then. And that's why I think, you know, again, this is my pitch for a supervillain. It's a supervillain that's just a company that's doing some awful stuff because, like, oh yeah, everyone's doing their tiny bits, and then, like, you know, the finance department wants to raise more money because the company does some really great things. How does it raise money? It takes money from some suspicious billionaires who just have the condition that they move some ships around the world. Then those ships lead to human trafficking. Then that human trafficking leads to, you know, like, I don't know, something anti-superheroes, because maybe they're modifying the humans they're trafficking to be super interesting to the people. You know, like, again, you can... I'm just saying, there's a genius idea in there somewhere that I clearly cannot come up with effectively. But I do think that, yeah, people like to think about corporations as like this evil money man at the top somewhere that's making all these awful decisions that lead to all these awful things. But I really think the actual reality is just, the interesting thing about humans, the thing that makes us so unique compared to any species out there, is that we make these structures. Like, not just companies, but like, you know, governments is another one. The reason you can compare it to a corporation is because we make things that aren't directly in the remit of a person. Like, when I'm talking to you, you know, if I punch you, that's me being a bad person to you. We're all like responsible for ourselves and what we do to other people. But then we also make structures, these big structures that can achieve great things. Like, if you think about the car company, Honda. Who doesn't have a Honda Civic, am I right? I mean, probably most people. Statistically, most people on Earth don't have a Honda Civic. But you might have one, and if so, wow, I'm talking to you personally with this Let's Play. So you, Honda Civic driver, you bought your car from Honda, right? But who is Honda? And the answer is like, no. The Honda is like, it was a corporation set up a long time ago, I think to sell motorcycles or something. And then eventually they moved into making automobiles, and then, like, again, all those individual employees that just made the decisions eventually decided to shift that entire company. Nintendo started as a trading card company, I want to say, and then slowly, because of the employees in it, shifted to becoming, again, one of the great bringers of joy across humanity. Mojang, you know, it was just a dude started making a Java applet a long time ago to, like, distribute. Then that Java applet got popular, so he started selling it for $10. And then it was a multi-billion-dollar making enterprise all of a sudden. You know, like, that I'm playing right now as I talk to you on top of another multi-billion-dollar enterprise that, you know, who is YouTube? Who is Google? You know, like, they have founders, but once their founders are gone, then what's going on there? And the simple answer, you know, because, you know, the reality is, like, the actual answer to those questions is like, oh yeah, the corporations are just the collective will for the people working in and for them. But then that raises more questions about like, oh, so who sets the goals? And it's like, well, it all kind of happens in this weird collective, confusing way. Actually, you know, we're going to drop that one. And a lot of the best things that humans have ever done are because these corporations allow us to work together. Like having ideals, like say what you want about religion. I know I made a recent Minecraft server video where lots of people think I was super critical of religion because I made jokes. If you don't like jokes about a thing, then if you can't joke about a thing, you can't truly understand a thing, is my honest opinion there. But you know, like the idea of a man in the sky, which, you know, you might agree or you might believe in, you might disbelieve in, but if you know, like having that concept, you know, even if it's real, right, we still had to come up with it. We still had to share it amongst us as a populace. And one of the most widespread single ideas is that like, oh yeah, you shouldn't betray other people. You shouldn't be bad to other people. You shouldn't do bad things because there's retribution. In life, there's like retribution when you do bad things and other human beings find out about it. Like you get shamed, you get, you know, like sometimes people will take a thing from you. But like, you know, there are certain situations where your like base human desires overwrite that, and you do bad things anyway, or you do bad things hoping you won't get caught, you know, double crossing people, etc. there's a lot of like there's a lot of human activity that we do that is you know the is like kind of questionable, you might be able to say. I think I'm gonna combine some packed ice together and make some blue ice so I can like get this first section done. I think that's a good idea, because I want to first of all like cover this whole area up so I can. I just want to avoid gas coming from down there and firing up here, and also like connect it into that. So there's like a secret tunnel way up into my overworld in the Nether. So that's what we're doing right here, in case you're curious. But yeah, these like grand ideas that we have together that are bigger than any one person are it's the thing that allow us to do more than any other animal. Like in every other like species group has to have every individual doing something great for the group, but they lose their individual right to think. Whereas as humans, we have the ability to think. We have the ability to choose which ideas and thoughts we join. Even though, you know, like the idea of some form of, you know, whether it's karma or whether it's religion or whether it's whatever else, the idea of some reason why you shouldn't betray other people became very widespread to the level, you know, like where we started doing much better things, where we can trust that people won't just take your stuff because you're not there. Although, actually, you know, some people still do burgle houses, but, like, if you own a house that you work your whole life for, you don't have to worry every time you leave it. Like, what if someone steals it because they want a house and they decide that's easier than working for one? Like, you don't have to worry about these things, you know, like, these things are slightly dealt with by that. There's also the concept of, like, some form of security, some form of collective enforcement of those ideas. But the idea of, like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't do those things anyway because they're bad is also a very interesting one that is very widespread and has allowed us to do great things. So again, that idea has been great in some ways. The collective ideas of like we should all, you know, listen. You know, like the fact that we all believe vaguely in science. Even some people clearly don't believe in science, so they try to make science back their definitions. I mean, this is a problem we see with like, I don't know, anti-vaxxers or whatever. But like some people don't like science and will, you know, like, well, they'll try to like find science to back their narrative, but the idea that like, oh yeah, we're gonna use science, we're gonna use these, like, you know, the idea of something needs to be proven before you say it. You can't just come up with a thing, it's got to be backed up. These ideas bring great they allow, again, which even by the way, science itself is like this out of human, this non-human experience, this like idea that knowledge can be added to the world without being stored in individuals. Like I donate a lot of money to Wikipedia every now and then. Wikipedia is a source of knowledge that isn't a person. Wikipedia is that smart village elder that's collected knowledge all their life that you can ask about complicated things. But, you know, Wikipedia manages to do that. Also, I really like this little I love this as a little way to enter the main thing. But, you know, Wikipedia is that smart dude who knows all the things in the village without having to be a dude. It exists regardless of whether humans exist. If all humans were wiped out today, it would take a while till the servers like ran out of electricity or something because no power stations are being run. But like, you know, the internet would exist for a while. If we were all wiped out tomorrow, you could still find out, you know, our theories about why humans might one day be wiped out. If we were all wiped out, you could play Minecraft. You know, if you have your own generator and fuel, and you would if all humans stopped existing. The amount of excess fuel we have as a total. But like, if humans were all wiped out, you could still play Minecraft if you're the one last human left, because we've made these concepts greater than ourselves. You wouldn't be able to build any more because they're all concepts built on concepts. Like, how do you make a website if there is no other human being on Earth left to help you make a website? Well, that brings me greatly into today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one. Oh, that'd be the greatest sponsor spot ever, wouldn't it? Like this whole hour-long rant has just been a way to get to why Squarespace is so great or whatever else. I actually, we can talk about sponsorships, but every time it comes up, I just want to say, like, hey, did you know I get a lot of sponsorship offers. I don't take very many, and I hope that you appreciate that as people. Because, you know, sometimes, like, the Raid Shadow Legends ones, they're like 5,000, 8,000, sometimes even more. I've had some really dumb sponsorship offers where I'm just like, no, I'm not advertising that to people recently, like, especially when it comes to, like, gambling stuff. I think gambling's cool if you make the decision yourself. I think the idea of pushing on people, maybe a bit more questionable. Anyway, I think I'm going to go get some wood. I'm going to work on this chest room a bit. Wait, this is a pretty historic moment. This is going to be the first time I use my new netherite axe to actually chop down trees. I'm looking forward to that, actually. You know what? You gotta have your small victories sometimes, I feel like. You gotta feel good about the things. But yeah, the whole point of what I was saying was just to be like, did you know humans can do things greater than us. Something that is great about us as people. We have these ideas that are wonderful. We also have awful ideas. But I think, you know, what makes a bad idea a good idea? You can all have opinions about them, but when you try to enforce objectively what's a good and bad idea, and which ideas should have you cut off from your livelihood, you know, your ability to live, it's pretty wild, right? Like, I think we can always, like, I think one of the core concepts in the world is we should always, we can always punish people for their actions, or at least the intent of their actions. You could maybe even go as far as to say. But when you start punishing people for their ideas, that's when the world becomes a scary place where people are afraid to think. And when people are afraid to think, we don't just stop having bad thoughts, as opposed, you know, according to you or whoever's, you know, stopping people from thinking. But you also have a lack of ideas in all the other senses. And humans, the one thing we do special is we have ideas. Also, we use tools, but like, you could argue you need ideas to make tools. You need to like know how to use it. But yeah, like the most powerful tool humans have ever made is ideas, I would argue. Or maybe the most powerful idea is the one to use a tool. You can use it either way you want, but like the two things that make us a special species, because you know we're bipedal apes. We literally just have 2 legs. We walk around. Also, this is so fast and so satisfying. I love this. I could do this all day. I'm so used to this taking much longer. Oh, isn't this great? You know, this is a serious upgrade to my life, and I'm very happy with it. Again, it's the small things. You gotta appreciate them sometimes. If you don't appreciate the small things, then everything seems like it's a bad thing. And you know what? There's a lot of bad things out there, so let's focus on the good things, huh? I'm actually gonna grab all of my netherrack out from these chests that have just been cluttering it up. Because again, I have a serious netherrack overload. Just, I've gotten so much of it over time. It just is filling up chests. So let's fix that. Let's also bring some cobblestone with me, so we can maybe make some furnaces, perhaps. So 28 plus 28. You know what that makes? 20. Oh, okay. Where's the other 28 gone? I could have sworn we picked some up. Nope, we just didn't, apparently. And then we grab one more bit of cobblestone, and that's like 7 furnaces. That's probably all we need for now. We can fuel them with lava, by the way. That'll be a fun thing to do. But yeah, okay, let's also go to sleep. I really do think that the ideas we have are the most important things about us. And I also think that it can be really easy to dismiss how important the freedom to make your own ideas is. But generally speaking, when you tell other people how to do anything, they do it worse. You know, like we've all seen malicious appliance. But when you're forced to do anything, you do it much worse than when you choose to do something. Which is why, generally speaking, you know, like, here's some parenting advice of Toy Cat. Did you know you shouldn't force people to do things they don't want to unless you feel like doing it, in which case, yeah, you know what, you can then you can force people to do things, but only if you like kind of want them to do bad things. Now that's not the lesson here at all. Let's put a crafting table up there and see if I remember it, because I'm sure I'll forget and just make another one, which if you think about it, it's kind of the beauty of life. But yes, we'll just have a bunch of chests along this wall, I guess. Oh, let's fill in the gaps now. Pro tip, you can actually have chests next to each other. All you gotta do is wait. All you gotta do is wait. No, there's a way to do it. So there's 2 chests there, and if this chest is already a double chest and that chest is already a double chest, then this one can't be a, oh god, what happened there? You know, I thought I knew how this one worked. Huh. What if we make this one already a double check? Okay, wait. Okay, I've got a plan. I've got a plan. This is me learning this mechanic on the spot. There we go. Look at that. So now, if we remove this, we've got... Oh, God. If you look at that, I think you'll find we just got 3 single chests in a row. And now we just do it again here. So make that into whatever it's going to be. Oh, no, that broke things. That broke things. But you can do it. It just... you got to think about how you do it a lot. Yeah, you just have to continuously layer on layer on layer. So here's a 4th one. Oh no, that doesn't work either. Maybe you can only ever have 3 in a row doing this. Maybe after that you just gotta start going sideways or whatever. You know, it's working for now. Let's just have a very confusing chest layout where some chests are sideways, some are double chests. You know, this is the life. This is what I dream of having. Anyway, so the next thing we gotta do is we're gonna throw a bunch of furnaces down. We could have this wall be the furnace wall. We could have that wall. That wall's a bit too curvy. So, this wall? Yeah, we'll have it be on this wall over here. You're not sure? Why not? We'll have it be in the ceiling, actually. Kind of, like, hidden away. Then we'd have hoppers below that, because you can't see this block in there anyway. Yes, you can. Never mind. For now, we'll just place a bunch of furnaces. And we'll see if we place a stack of netherrack in each. And then we go grab a bit of lava for each. We'll see how that one goes. Because someone said, like, hey, did you know, if you have too much netherrack, you can smelt it down, and it's not a bad source of experience, because even though it's a bad source of experience per block, if you have so much of it, it becomes something. So let's smelt literally 7 stacks and see what that adds up to. Because I'd be willing to bet actually not very much. But I'd like to be wrong about that bet. Thankfully, my iron reserves still do exist. I'm slowly using them up, just like more and more and more and more. It's a real problem, but we'll work that out. Oh, here's 27. That's 9 buckets perfectly. But yeah, there's my whole thoughts on something in a lot of roundabout turns that all lead to that same rough place, right? I think oh yeah, I always forget just how much lava we've actually drained and how hard it is to find more. Like, literally, we have to, like, use this as our way to reach more lava, except you get caught on fire when you do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to, like... Actually, no, I guess we're just going to step on this and find the right path forward so we're not on fire. Or we could just go through very quickly. Okay, this is all a bad idea. I hate everything that's happening right now. I am burning a lot, and it hurts. Yeah, I guess we just run in. Oh, scoop it, scoop, 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 scoop. Oh, yeah, scoopy, scoop, scoop, scoop. Wonderful, we did it. We got all the lava we needed, and that was a great method that we can totally continue to repeat. Yeah, no, I definitely need to, like, make a glass something over this so I can start to scoop more lava. I really do. This is a dumb thing that will take me years to do, drain this entire thing. And again, that entire project will be hard to really show, but I'm hoping the end result will be glorious. It likely won't ever happen, but what's the harm in having a bit of optimism and believing that it might? Because if you enjoy the process, does it really matter about the end result? If you want I think as long as you're enjoying yourself, as long as you're making some form of progress, you know, as long as it's in the right general direction for you, what does it really matter at the end of that? That's my personal take, but maybe you have a different one. I'd love to hear if you do in the comments down below. But no, I wouldn't actually. You know, get out there. One of the things I changed my mind on recently, I think it's maybe important to do this while we're talking so much. Every now and then someone says something like I try to, you know, some things I say, like, I try to keep an eye on, like, I think it's important when you have any opinion to always be looking to change it. Like, always at least be open to other opinions about stuff, or at least other evidence. Even if you disagree with it later, you can at least become a more rounded person by realizing it. And I think I've said for a while now, I think the world is becoming a better place, just almost objectively speaking. But I heard something that made me go like, okay, you know, someone said like, oh yeah, even if you think the world has a huge anti-world bias, like there is a massive negativity bias in any news because that gets you watching more things. You're also viewing things through a positivity bias. If you ignore the negative things about the world, everything looks great. And I want to say that, like, actually, yeah, the reality is you can't say that everything in the world is going good. There are always going to be things that aren't going well, and it can be easy to ignore them temporarily, but you can't ignore them for too long, because, you know, there are things that are worse that we do need to improve on, that we should be improving on. And I want to kind of throw that at the end here is like, yeah, that's a, but I also think that the greater factor, the larger thing is that there are more ways in that life is getting better every single year than it's getting worse, even if it feels that way. And even if on an individual level it can be true. I made a new stone cutter, but where did I put it? That's the real question. It was literally last week, so we just have to find that. Find the stone cutter, live the dream. Can I do that? You know, let's go flying and looking for it. You know, Toycat finds a stone cutter. You know what? This is objectively worse than last week. Last week, I knew where my stone cutter is. This week, I have genuinely no clue. Like, legitimately zero. It's on either end of this, I feel like. Or it's in there, maybe? It must be in there, but whereabout did I put my stone cutter? This is the question I must ask and try to answer. You know, this is the part of the Minecraft Let's Play you don't see. Toycat scrambles around because he thinks he lost something. Maybe I'll just use the one in the overworld, because I've got some quartz stuff I want to make. But before we do... There we go. I found the stone cutter. What a weird place for it. but that's not my concern for now. We're going to make some slabs. That'll be real nice. And then we're also going to make some bricks. I'm just going to enjoy having some more quartz bricks in my world. Oh, only spending 1 quartz. Imagine spending 4. Imagine how dumb that'd be. See, that's a lesson. Knowing that you can use the stone cutter when there's a huge Minecraft bug that ruins your life. Important lesson to learn. You can just ignore it, but it doesn't make it go away. There's a good life lesson too. You know, ignoring things doesn't make them go away. As much as I like to believe it when I get like... There's a lot of things I'm in the middle of like mildly ignoring them. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop ignoring those real soon. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be delightful. I wonder how this looks, by the way, like having quartz on top of this. It might be the ugliest thing in the world, or it might be a great... Nope, I hate it. I hate it. But you know what I don't hate? You, dear viewer of this channel. Yeah, I just got 17 experience, and it barely registered. I'm gonna do that one again, just to really be sure here. Yeah, 80, like, the amount I'm getting from each nether brick. Like, admittedly, I've got 7 furnaces. I could level up eventually this way. But, like, an entire stack, if 1/3 of a stack is about half of one of those points, a whole stack is only 1.5 of those bars. You'd need, like, an entire chest full to go up 1 level. And I don't know how much netherrack you'd have to mine. I guess if you're already mining for, ancient debris anyway, that's great. But all these nether bricks can do anyway is make nether brick blocks, which we don't really need too many of anyway. But whatever, we'll work that out later. I'll save these for later, because like everything else, I think in the future we'll have more uses. I think things are getting better, and if you use Minecraft as a tool, then objectively it is. Anyway, no, I hope you'll enjoy this video. Thank you for anyone who chooses to support these Let's Plays. As they get longer, even though some people say they enjoy them more, it means the stuff on them drops. So thank you to anyone who chooses to support the things that they like on the internet. And if you don't like supporting things you like on the internet, then I hope you have a great day anyway, because this has been the Let's Play. Have a good day.